doesn't it?
From what things?
Just the rest of your.
Man, if you call this a break.
50 minutes of hell.
Yeah, oh my
50 minutes.
gosh, yeah, you guys are the Nolan Richardson of press corps.
Yes. Caleb talks about his game, asked him about his game. He says his range is limitless. When you hear that as a coach, good thing, bad thing, limit, what do you think?
I think everyone has a limit to the range eventually, I mean, where you're most efficient, but yeah, he does have great range on his shot, and, you know, more than anything though, I mean, I'm, you know, the things I've been on him about is just, you know, making sure he's, you know, savoring every shot, you know, continues to work on his shooting techniques, you know, and just has a better understanding of what he does better versus things he doesn't do as well. And, you know, being able to, you know, put the ball on the floor, attack the defense, and make the right play. And I think, you know, throughout, over the course of the year, he's done that the majority of the time.
He's played at a really high level for multiple years. Did it surprise you this week that he had never won a Conference Player of the Week award before this week?
I didn't even know he won it this week, so that was my first surprise. Thank you. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't overthink that stuff too much, but maybe, you know, maybe. I mean, he's obviously had an incredible career, and you know, he's a really good basketball player, you know, at any level, and I know we're lucky to have him, and I know he's got a lot more left in the tank.
You told us multiple times this year that you brought him in here and said you wanted him to fit into what this group is, to fit into the identity of this group, play hard defense, do what needs to be done on the offensive end. Do you feel like he's doing that? How high of a level do you feel like he's doing that right now?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I think it's been definitely been a win-win, you know, for both sides, you know. But you know, we're in the midst of things, and so, you know, I'm still looking for areas to grow. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm not happy with the things he's done, but you know, our journey is far from done. So, you know, I think the growth mindset is the most important thing, and so that's how I approach everything with him. But yeah, I mean, I love having him in the program, and I love coaching him on a daily basis.
When you were recruiting him and looking at him, what about his game made you feel he could fit into what you do here compared to what he was already doing or previously doing?
Well, you know, I didn't want to, you know, I mean, I didn't want to overreact to maybe other people's opinions about him. And, you know, we wanted to be able to form our own opinion, and, you know, we obviously watched the film, and you know, but more importantly, we talked to him, you know, and then Coach Rob, you know, had recruited him at North Carolina and had a relationship with him and his family. So, you know, we were able to get to very direct conversations off the bat with him, so there was really no wasted time. You know, the things that obviously stood out to me is, you know, he was a high impact guy, you know, who, you know, just probably needed to refine a few things, and more than anything, you know, he was open to those refinements. I mean, he wanted to make some changes, he wanted to get better. So just his open-mindedness, you know, to the process was what kind of struck me, and you know, and he's literally been that every day he's been here.
Do you think maybe part of that's either a maturation or realizing that, hey, I need to do these things to get my, you know, to be better as a pro?
Probably both those things go hand in hand. You know what I mean? I think obviously guys mature based off of experiences they have, both positive and negative. You know, I mean, and you know, I mean, I'm not one to, you know, judge his career in North Carolina. I mean, that's other people's jobs. But you know, I'd say all in all, there was a lot of great moments there.
How does that, you made a comment that was interesting that after the Utah game, that when he had those 15 points in 6 minutes or whatever it was, you told him to slow down, let the other guys finish up. How does that go? I mean, is he still, you're talking about him being willing to make adjustments in the moment of that? Is he okay with it? Or do you feel like, you know, isn't it an instinct for a guy like that to maybe keep going?
Well,
and
he and I have obviously, you know, those conversations are preloaded. You know, we've had them before those moments, and so when you get in those moments, it's not that I don't want him to be aggressive, but you know, there's probably a reason he got hot. He probably had some good shots he took advantage of. He probably got a few layups, probably got a mixed in a free throw or two. You know, so when a guy's, you know, on a roll, I don't think you need to double down and you know, and go all in on more difficult things. And so that's the message. Just keep the game simple. You know, your teammates are good players. You know, let's make sure they're getting good shots too. And you know, you did a great job helping us get some separation. Yeah. Now, if you get a great shot, by all means, let it rip. But you know, doesn't mean I need him pulling it from half court just to test it. You know, and so he understands that. I mean, he's got a great maturity about him, and so yeah, those are easy conversations.
I would assume, Tommy, that would be maybe a handful of times you've ever done that. Maybe once, first time?
I don't know, I'd have to go back and think. I mean, I was on the bench with a guy named Adam Morrison, you know, and.
You told him to comment?
Well, I don't know, I'm sure we had a lot of those conversations, you know, he might not have listened, you know, but I've just always been a firm believer when you get on a roll, that's a good thing, and I understand, you know, kind of, you know, being in that moment, you know, or being in that zone, whatever you wanna call it, but I think the best way to give yourself the greatest margin for error to stay in that zone is to make great simple plays, you know, not try more difficult things.
How do you think Kylan has handled the added responsibilities that he's had this year, as well as the scrutiny that comes with being the point guard at Arizona?
I guess I don't pay attention to the scrutiny, you know, so I wouldn't be a good comment about that. But Kylan's been good. He's been good. He's as I expected he would be. He's a really good player. That doesn't mean there haven't been, you know, there's been some ups and there's been some downs. But you know, I think you could, you know, when you go through a fine tooth comb with everybody's, you know, performance over a season, you're gonna find those. So, you know, all in all, I think he's good. I mean, I like where Kylan's at. You know, I think we're trending in the right direction. You know, we need to keep fighting for those small gains, those small daily wins, those small, you know, winning those one-on-one battles in a moment. That might not be one-on-one the way you think of it. That might mean just guarding your yard. You know, the possession on defense. You know, pressuring the ball and not getting beat. You know, winning all those might be coming off a ball screen, just making the right play and just stacking those up over and over again. But I think Kylan's in a good way, and you know, I'm looking forward to watching him continue to progress.
You guys got a chance to get out and see Carter this week. This week been kind of a nice reset for you guys as a coaching staff to not have the game after game after game grind.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's been nice just to kind of take a breath and work on ourselves for a few days. You know, we'll start kind of digging into Washington State the next couple days. But yeah, it's been nice, and you know, just, you know, always, you know, there's a lot of moving parts, you know, that go on behind the scenes at this level. So it's nice to be able to, you know, tend to some of those things as well. But you know, I mean, we can't wait to get back out on the court and hopefully stack up a bunch of good games in a row.
Does it not surprise you, the number of ranked teams that have been losing the last 10, 12 days?
No, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we know how hard this is, you know, and you know, we had, you know, our moment at Stanford, and we very well could have another moment in Pullman this weekend. It's hard to win on the road in college basketball. It's something you don't ever take for granted, and I think if you know, went back and looked at a trend those first 2 weeks in January when power conference teams start playing road games, there's a lot of quote unquote upsets. I mean, that's just, so they're probably not as big of upsets as we think. So yeah, it just happens, you know, teams start playing on the road, you know, a lot of these power conference teams, you know, you can really tilt your schedule to play a lot of home games and maybe a select neutral or two, you know, and so it you know, when you go out on the road, it's gonna be more difficult. And so, you know, we totally know and respect that. And, you know, a really smart person, you know, told me, you know, and I think it's a good way to look at it. A wise man learns from others' mistakes. A fool learns from his own. And, you know, we can be a wise man and pay attention to what's going on and understand we need to be locked in and expect a really, really hard game in Pullman this weekend. And that's what it's been the last couple of years. You know, and we've also played the fool where we've went into maybe these games and haven't been as ready as we should be. So, you know, we kind of got both sides of the spectrum covered, and, you know, Washington State obviously looked good last night and pulled out a gutty win on the road. So, you know, it's going to be a battle Saturday, and our guys need to respect that fact to be ready for it.
Did you watch that game or video of it? And it particularly seems like defensively inside they're pretty tough, or anything strike you?
Yeah. I watched the game just like you did, Bruce. I didn't, you know, go through fast forward, rewind it. I just watched it, and it was kind of on there on the TV. And I mean, you know, Washington State, they you know, Kyle's done a good job. You know, I mean, these jobs are tough, and you know, you kind of have to rebuild your roster year after year. He's done a good job, you know, consistently rebuilding it with impact players. You know, to me, you got a good young guard core, and they got, you know, a couple bigs inside they're really comfortable playing through right now. So, you know, to me, it looks like they're, you know, got a good balance of a strong inside attack and capable perimeter players. So it's going to be a challenge.
Getting back to Caleb a little bit, he mentioned the word downhill over and over, and how much you've been pushing to just like attack the rim and the guards in general. Do you see overall that the guards this year are showing a much greater willingness to drive to the basket and either complete it or get fouled and play that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're, overall, we're a stronger penetrating team this year versus last year. A couple of years ago, we were a really strong, penetrating team, and you had, Dalen and Ben and Pella out there, and, Zoo could penetrate his own way, so, yeah, I mean, all in all, but, a lot of this is based off of your personnel, and, it doesn't mean one way is necessarily better than the other, it's just kinda how we're built this year, and we have guys that have, shown a propensity for being able to get some momentum, get downhill, and make good team plays.
Obviously, you're no stranger to winter in eastern Washington. Do you have to prepare you guys at all for hitting the tarmac in single-digit temperatures?
I mean, come on, you're going to play a hard road game, and if you're gonna let the weather on the outside impact what's gonna happen on the inside, you're probably not focused on the right things, so, no, I mean, obviously, we got, Emoy, Briggs will, I'm sure he'll gear the guys up, and they'll be plenty warm.
You did say your pickleball threshold has gone up to 46 degrees on the radio, I think, or something.
46
Have you
degrees,
lost
yeah.
your blood,
My blood is
thinned
thin,
out since
my
you've been
blood is
here?
definitely thinned, yeah, 46 is now freezing on my thermometer.
So how do you guys do this trip, being as you're only gonna play the one game, is it different logistically, maybe easier in that sense,
Well,
or?
we practice tomorrow, get on the plane, fly up there, eat a meal, meet, sleep, have breakfast the next day, little walkthrough, play the game, get on the plane, come back home. It's just lather, rinse, repeat, nothing different.
On your radio show, you also kind of alluded to the possibility of Henry redshirting this year. When do you need to make that decision, or is it a matter of you could pull it at any time?
Yeah, there's no set date on it, and you can kinda, at any point, you can, remove the red shirt tag from him and play him, he's available, he's eligible. Henry and I have had some good meetings, and, that's kinda where we both settled in on, that would be the best thing for him, and, it's one of those deals, you watch him in practice, the last couple of days, and you think maybe we shouldn't, cause he's playing pretty well. But I think that, in my mind's eye, that's probably the best thing for his long-term development is to do that this year, just with how the injury and then how this season's played out.
So it would more likely be from a situation where you needed him in there rather than like throw him in for some blowouts, because that would kind of.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, Henry's a really good player, and in my mind, going into this to the fall and kind of where we were at, I thought, I would have guessed Henry would have been part of our main rotation. But things happened, and we had to adjust, and he's had to adjust, and he's handled it with great maturity. And he's working really hard, and it's not going to be a year off for him by any stretch. He needs to continue to make a big jump and be ready to be a significant contributor next year.
Football has the redshirt rule where you can play up to 4 games if you haven't previously used a redshirt and year doesn't count, basically. Would you like to see something like that in basketball?
I mean, I'd definitely be open to it. I mean, I think it'd be healthy, for the guys, just especially now, when you're, we have 13 scholarships and 5 guys gotta play, and, so, you get an injury or two, things get thin really quick. And so, yeah, I mean, I think just for overall, student athlete experience, for health and safety of players, I think the more people you could keep, eligible to play but maintain their long-term eligibility, I think would be better for the sport.
So you've said though that sometimes international guys think differently as far as this goes. I wondered if Henry was the kind of guy who thinks, hey, I'm not gonna be here 5 years anyway. I don't care about redshirting, just play me when you want. I mean,
Those are all conversations we had, and I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what 1 or 2 years looks like from now, but, based on where we're at in Henry's situation, Henry and I agree that we thought this would be the best thing for his long-term development. And, it's just to give him the option to, if he wants it, to lengthen his career at Arizona. If Henry makes another choice, a year or 2 down the road, that's the right that he has to make the choice that he thinks is best for himself.
Are you still gonna travel? He's still gonna travel and practice regularly?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Henry's gonna work harder. He's gonna do more.
Alright, thanks, Coach.
Just one thing, you mentioned Carter, or you were talking about Carter Bryant. I was just curious your thoughts on him, because it seemed like he had a slow start, he was ineligible for a while, and now he played really well when you saw him the other night.
Good player.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have that he'll be coming here next year. Good player, great kid.
Alright, thanks.
All right, guys.
Thanks.